Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and YAHUSHA the Messiah, his Son. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our Mighty One is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you the law, statutes, judgments, and commandments of Yahuwah. And we're starting from Deuteronomy chapter 19. So this lawgiver that's likened unto Moses, our Mashiach, YAHUSHA the Messiah. Wow. The Old Testament testifies that you have to keep these laws, and the New Testament testifies that you have to keep these laws. So if you have a family member who does not believe, and they're in the church, that they have to keep the laws, show them the prophetic word here first. That was in Deuteronomy chapter 18. And then go to the New Testament, Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 19. And that proves it. They can't fight against it. And then they may try to go to Paul and say, Paul said. Paul never said any such thing. I created a whole series around Paul said, because that's the first thing they resort back to. It's like Paul is their Messiah, their Mashiach, or their God or something in the church. But brothers and sisters, there's no place in this book that tells you not to keep the commandments. Look for it. You will never find it. Your enemy, the Europeans, if you have seen, they have taken this book. They study your law. They know it up and down, right and left. And what they do is that they twist it and try to give you their version of what this law says. We're looking at it for ourselves. We're not allowing anyone to frame our thoughts with lies. The only way they can do that is to put it in their movies. You know, that's what we watch. We watch movies, we watch documentaries, we listen to pastors, we listen to teachers. And most of these people are designed to take you away from Yahuwah. That's what this is all about. The only way you're going to find a path back to him is to study this law. Let's begin. Deuteronomy chapter 19. Verse 1 to 4. Verse 1. When Yahuwah thy mighty one have cut off all the nations, whose land Yahuwah thy mighty one giveth thee, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their cities and in their houses. Do you see this? I want you to go to the Middle East, as they call it. That's what you're going to probably have to type in on your computer. You can't type in Northeast Africa because it won't recognize that. But type in the Middle East and look at all of the places in Jerusalem and all over the best parts, the luxury villages, the luxury homes and all that stuff, so that you can get an idea of what the Mighty One is saying here. He's going to give you their cities. He's going to give you their houses to dwell in. Verse 2, thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee in the midst of thy land, which Yahuwah thy mighty one giveth thee to possess it. Why do we have to separate 3 cities, Father? Verse 3, thou shalt prepare thee a way and divide the coast of thy land, which Yahuwah thy mighty one giveth thee to inherit into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee thither. This is how the law of manslaughter came about. That's what the slayer means. Let's see what the slayer does. Verse 4, and this is the case of the slayer, which shall flee thither into those cities that you set apart. These are called cities of refuge, that he may live. Whosoever killeth his neighbor ignorantly whom he hated not in time past. Verse 5. As an example, when a man goeth in the wood with his neighbor to hew wood, and his hand fetcheth a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slippeth from the helve, and lighteth upon his neighbor that he die, he shall flee unto one of those cities and live. Why does he have to flee? Why can't he just go and say, hey, there was an accident? Verse 6 tells you. Because there's an avenger of blood that will pursue the slayer. Who's the avenger of blood? His family members. They don't know what happened in the wood. All they know is that their brother went out with you to cut down wood, and now he comes back dead. So now they want to kill you. While his heart is hot. You know how it is. We don't make good decisions when we're hot, do we? And overtake the person who killed his brother by accident, because the way is long, and slay him, whereas he was not worthy of death, inasmuch as he hated him not in time past. So this wasn't premeditated murder. It was just an accident. Verse 7, wherefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee, 3 cities of refuge, for the person who killed his brother by accident to flee to, until they can work out all of the different issues that are involved. Verse 8, and if Yahuwah thy mighty one enlarge thy coast, this is for us now, because he's going to enlarge our coast now, as he have sworn unto thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he promised to give unto thy fathers. That's the whole land from the river of the Nile to the great river of Euphrates. Verse 9, if thou shalt keep all these commandments to do them, which I command thee this day. You see, the promises are connected to an action, brothers and sisters. He constantly tells you this, doesn't he? What is the action? To keep all these commandments which I command thee this day, to love Yahuwah thy mighty one, and to walk ever in his ways. When you do this, then shalt thou add 3 cities more to thee, besides these 3. So now you're to multiply. Instead of 3, there's 6. They have doubled now, because you've kept the commandments. He wants to protect the innocent blood. Verse 10, that innocent blood be not shed in thy land, which Yahuwah thy mighty one giveth thee for an inheritance, and so blood be upon thee. This is for your benefit also. In case you're playing basketball or something one day, and you push your brother while you're playing ball, and he falls and hits his head and dies, you don't want the slayer to come looking for you. You need a place to run to until he calms down. And then you can bring this case before the Levite, the priest, and the judge. Verse 11, but if any man hate his neighbor, now this is the other side, and lie in wait for him, this is premeditated, and rise up against him, and smite him mortally that he die, and fleeth into one of these cities of refuge. Verse 12, the elders of his city shall send and fetch him thence, and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, that he may die. How did they find out that he slayed his brother intentionally? Well, we know that you have to have 2 or 3 witnesses that must come forth to testify against him. Verse 13, thy eye shall not pity him, because he murdered his brother, but thou shalt put away the guilt of innocent blood from Yasharal, that it may go well with thee. This is what the Father wants. There's no jail here brothers and sisters. There's the death penalty. That is a deterrent. When people see you pick up the stone and bust somebody upside the head, and then all of the people in the city pick up stones to bust that person upside the head because he transgressed Yahuwah's laws, I don't think anyone is going to be doing that again. What do you think? Verse 14, here's another commandment. Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that Yahuwah thy mighty one giveth thee to possess it. Everyone is going to have large swaths of land. You're going to have to put your borders and your landmarks to show where your land ends and the next person's land begins. What is the Father saying here? Don't go and take up your brother's landmark and move it up, let's say, a few acres, because the land that you want, that's rich and fertile, and there's plenty grazing there, you want that. You're coveting your neighbor's property. So you move his land mark up maybe 10 acres, right? Look at verse 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for an iniquity or for any sin. In any sin that he sinneth at the mouth of 2 and 3 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established. The false witness rise up against any man to testify against him, that is wrong. Verse 17, then both the men, between whom the controversy is, shall stand before Yahuwah, before the priests and the judges which shall be in those days. Let me point something else out. The priests and the judges, when you stand before them, you are standing before Yahuwah. Why? He has appointed them to represent him. They are only to make righteous judgments through his word. So when you stand before them, you stand before Yahuwah. You should tremble at this. Now let's say a false witness rises up and he says, oh, no, he didn't move the landmark. That landmark was always there. He didn't move it. Verse 18, and the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and have testified falsely against his brother, verse 19, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you. If he is to be killed, then the same is going to happen to the false witness. That's what he wanted for his brother, right? That is what he's going to get. But if he lied about that border, that boundary line, then you're going to have to give your brother 10 acres of your land. The same thing that you wanted to happen to him now shall come back on you. As a man soweth, so shall he also reap. These laws are perfect. Verse 20, and those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil amongst you. Look at this, verse 21. And thy eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, and foot for a foot. This is perfect laws. I want you to understand, Yasharites, they don't follow rules and regulations well, unless there's penalties like this. You have to put the evil out from amongst you. If you kill your brother, you shall die also. If you put out your brother's eye, so shall ye lose an eye. You get into a boxing match and knock out his tooth, you have to lose a tooth. If you chop off your brother's hand, you'll lose a hand. What about his foot? You will lose a foot. In the kingdom, there is no jail. But according to this law, this statute, this commandment, and this judgment, you're going to lose a body part. Or you're going to lose your life altogether. Continue to chapter 20. Shalom.